Those who know me from my work at NFL Network or here on the Rich Eisen Show, you all know how I feel about punters. Heck, I've made T-shirts multiple years. T-shirts.
You strolled in this morning wearing one.
Punters are people too. Correct?
Correct.
We've got one here on our set. We've got one that's available for you to go get. Rich Eisen Show, richeisenapparel.com. That still works. Also, richeisenshowapparel.com. I talk about punters are not just people too. They're weapons. They're weapons. They change field position. They win games. We've seen it. Okay? Over and over again. I will pound the table. Well, punters are now worthy of being a subject of a children's book too. Doesn't fit on a T-shirt. Doesn't really roll off the tongue, but it's true. The Middle School Rule of Thomas Morstead. The Middle School Rules of Thomas Morstead by Sean Jensen is available now wherever books are sold. And the punter of the New Orleans Saints, Thomas Morstead, joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show right now. How are you, Thomas?
I'm doing great, Rich. That's a hell of an intro. Appreciate it.
But it's true. I was spitting truth, correct?
Yeah, I don't think we need to pump up the group too much. You know, we can get a little arrogant quickly.
Come on, an arrogant punter? Is that a fact? Do those exist?
I'm just messing. There's very few of those.
Correct. When did you first realize, Thomas, that you could punt? When does that happen?
I mean, I've always punted. I did punt, pass, and kick as a young kid,
okay.
And I played some peewee football a little bit, and I was interested in specializing whenever they didn't even let us kick extra points in the game. So it's always been something I've been interested in. I played soccer my whole life, and just kind of like some people love going to the golfing range and hitting golf balls. I love getting out on the grass field and punting spirals.
Damn straight you do. Or what does McAfee call them? Piss missiles, right? This is what McAfee calls them?
McAfee's got all sorts of good nicknames for different punts.
Well, some of them are not suitable for air. Let's be honest.
That's fair enough.
You could even say piss missile is a little bit on the edge right there. But I don't know, man. I just love the fact that what you guys do constantly gets discounted. But I'm always there for you. I've always been pounding the table. And in terms of the pass and the kick, were you always better at the punt, Thomas?
I would say I was always better at the punt and the kick. But punt, pass, and kick is all about throwing it right down the straight line. So I was pretty good at being precise in all three, and that's what helped me because I never could kick it farther or higher or throw it further and higher than some of the people that I was competing against. It was all about being accurate.
Okay. So tell me about this book. What are the middle school rules of Thomas Morstead? Thomas?
Well, basically it's going from me being born through high school and a lot of the things that I went through and the lessons that I learned. It's meant to be a relatively easy read. The target is kind of elementary, middle school, junior high age kids. And, I just think it's important for kids to, realize that even professional athletes or people maybe that they look up to have had struggles and have not felt good about themselves or have been bullied or different things like that. And so I think it's important that they know they're not alone, and hopefully that'll give them a little confidence and conviction to make it through whatever the different situations that they're going through right now. So
this is based on your story. This is your story.
It is my story. Yeah, it is my story. Like I said, it's just all the way through high school, and it was really an enjoyable experience with Sean Jensen, the author, of going through and kind of going through all the different stories of how I came to be who I am and all the different people that supported me along the way. It's been really an enjoyable experience doing that.
So, Thomas Morstead, Saints punter here on the Rich Eisen Show. What about the bullying? Let's go into that because that's so important. Certainly, when you're talking to kids. I mean,
yeah.
When you're talking to kids, I mean, I've got an 11, I've got a 9, I've got a 6. When one of them feels like they are left out by the group at school, whether they legitimately have been left out for whatever reason, or they feel it and really haven't been. My wife and I, we have to step in. We always feel like we have to step in and say something. And, I'm not saying they're being bullied, but that may happen down the road. So what about this? Because this is so crucial for a child's self-worth and for a child's confidence level moving forward, Thomas?
Yeah, look, I think it's all about having support and encouragement. It's no different than when a kid falls down. It's being there to help lift them back up and encourage them on their way and get them back on their feet. It's the same thing with that. I don't think bullying is necessarily always bad to experience. I think it's good to experience because it gives you a little bit of empathy. It's one thing to be told about something, but it's another thing to feel it and to feel a little pain and to hurt, and it helps you. It helps shape you. And so I think going through some of those things of being left out or feeling lonely or feeling ganged up on, it's never enjoyable. But I think if you have good friends and siblings and parents and uncles and aunts to kind of help you through those situations, it helps build a bit of empathy, which I think everybody in this world could certainly use a little more of right now.
And then feeling, yes, and we'll get to that a little bit more in a second, an experience of you during a high school football championship. You missed an extra point to tie a game and experienced, I guess, that. Is that that's part of this book as well?
Yeah, I would say that was a big turning point in my life. We were in the second round of Texas 5A high school state playoffs. We were playing in the Astrodome, and we were playing against a team called Port Arthur Memorial with a running back that I'd never heard of named Jamal Charles. He ended up being pretty good.
Yes,
and
indeed.
He ran for 4 touchdowns against us in that game. And anyways, I had a chance to tie it at the end of with 2 minutes left in the game, and missed the extra point, hit the left upright. We were playing on NFL post because we were in the Astrodome instead of high school. So if it would have been a high school game, that would have been good. And I just remember after the game not wanting to let that be an excuse, and I just took it on the chin and kind of took accountability for it. My whole town was there in attendance, and it was really a difficult experience. But I think just taking accountability for it in the moment really helped me on my path. I didn't know it at the time. I mean, I didn't even think I was going to play in college at the time. And that's kind of one of the things I've always lent on moving forward. I've always tried to put the accountability on myself, even if it's not my accountability. I've always tried to do that because, excuses are for losers to me. And so you got to find a way to always put it on your own shoulders.
The Middle School Rules of Thomas Morstead is a book for kids, and it's available wherever they're sold by Sean Jensen and Thomas Morstead. A couple more minutes with the Saints punter here on the Rich Eisen Show. We talking about accountability, talking about what's going on in the world and empathy. Boy, did this really settle into your locker room recently. Thomas, what can you tell us about the Saints locker room as it currently stands after Drew Brees, what he had to say publicly about never agreeing with anybody who would not stand for the national anthem, and then saying what he said in terms of an apology publicly, and then Zooming with you and his teammates on the subject, and then instructing the President of the United States not to use what he had said before as anything to divide. Certainly after he has spoken to his teammates. I kind of set it all up, and I'm wondering what you could tell me is the current state of affairs with your locker room.
Well, look, I think it's pretty evident over the past number of years that us to have the type of seasons we've had, to have lost the way we've lost in the playoffs the past 3 years, and they always bounce back. We've got a tremendous amount of leadership in the locker room, and leadership consists of sometimes dealing in conflict with teammates. And in my time, there's been no leader greater than Drew Brees, but that doesn't mean only having a captain's patch means that you're the only leader on the team. We've got so many leaders on the team. And I think this is going to be a blessing in disguise, not only for Drew, not only for our team, but for our nation. I think Drew's a man of conviction, and he just had a change of perspective after everybody on the team. We got together, and a lot of guys let him know how exactly they felt, and maybe that hadn't been said as clearly before to him. And all I know is Drew's not going to apologize unless he absolutely means it. He is not going to do something because of pressure or because of his brand. He's going to do the right thing. That's all I've ever seen him do. And I just know that he's going to handle this the right way. And I'm really excited to see what type of moves our team makes collectively not only in New Orleans but across the country with all the different sports leagues. Because I know somebody like Drew, with the power that he has to move the needle, if he gets passionate about something, the proof will be in the pudding, and he's already told us that his actions will speak a lot louder than his words, and so I'm excited to see what happens. So,
I know what happens in the locker room stays there, but how would you categorize that video conference meeting when Drew was hearing from his teammates? How would you describe it?
I would say it was extraordinarily vulnerable. It was difficult. It was emotional, and it was necessary. And like I said, I think everybody knows where everybody stands now. It's as clear a communication as was possible, and that's a really, really positive thing. And like I said before, I'm just really excited to see what actions take place following what happened. And I know Drew. I feel like I know him really well. I've been his teammate for 11 years. And I've seen the way he's dealt with adversity, and I've seen the way when he gets his muscle behind something, he's motivated, he's gonna make a move. And so, hopefully, collectively as a team, we can all help move the needle. I know for myself personally, my eyes have been opened more than ever before in the past few weeks, and I'm a little ashamed I haven't done more or been more involved. And so, I'm looking forward to being part of that as well.
Thomas Morstead of the New Orleans Saints, again, is the new book about his life, The Middle School Rules of Thomas Morstead, available where all books are sold. What's the most upset you ever made Sean Payton? What's the most pissed he's ever been, Thomas?
Oh, man. I've gotten that glare before.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't scream as much at me when I screw up now. I think maybe it's just because I'm older with 4 kids and a wife, and he's just got a little more respect for me. But
you're a man, right?
Definitely a few moments as a rookie where I got my butt chewed out pretty good. And I try to avoid that. I try to, there's a lot of punters that get a lot of notoriety for big, long punts.
Right.
And I live in a different world. I've just tried to be the epitome of stability at the position for the Saints. I try to hit it about 48 to 50 yards every time with hang time, and I hope it's the most boring play. There's a fair catch, and we're off the field. And so I think Sean has appreciated that over the years, and I'm going to try to do that as long as I possibly can.
Well, I'm looking up your stats here on Pro Football Reference. I don't see any pass attempts. Have you tried? Have you thrown one yet, Thomas?
Yeah, we had one fake called against the Cowboys in 2014.
Okay.
We didn't have a checkout, unfortunately, and they were in stack safe, and their linebackers were smiling at me, just looking at me before the play ran.
That
we were
is
down
not
14.
a good feeling. That is.
We were down 14 points with 7 minutes left in the game. It wasn't exactly the best time to catch them off guard. So, anyways, I did make one guy miss, so I felt good about that.
Okay.
Got tackled, decided not to throw it into coverage, and Sean came over to me on the sidelines and did apologize to me in person for the play call, and that was enough for me. I respected that. So, but I'm still, we did ambush in the first Super Bowl. I keep telling people we're saving ambush 2.0 for me, a passing attempt in the second Super Bowl that I'm in. So we'll have to wait for them.
Love it. And would you care to guess how many tackles you have in your career, Thomas Morstead?
I'm going to guess I'm credited with 11 or 12.
By the way, give me one or the other. Give me one or the other, because one of them's correct. Which one do you got?
All right, I'm going to go against my ego and say 11.
Correct. Whoa. Thomas Morstead. Correct.
Hey, that just goes to show you, having no ego pays off right there. That's good.
That's a punter. That's a punter. You just showed off, man. Yeah, 11. 1 year in 2012, you had 3 in a season. Wow.
Well, we gave up a lot of kickoff returns that year. That wasn't a good kickoff return year. But hopefully, if you go through my punting stats,
yes,
we have very few punts in the past 7 or 8, punt tackles in the past 7 or 8 years. So I've tried to, like I said, have a lot of boring plays.
I love it. Thomas, thanks for calling in. Really appreciate the time. Enjoyed the chat. Let's do it again soon.
Rich, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Always, man. Punters are guests too, Thomas.
That's it.
That's it. Thanks for the call. That's Thomas Morstead. Fantastic. 11 tackles in his career.
Impressive
The
number.
Middle School Rules of Thomas Morstead, available wherever books are sold. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.